This year has felt hard. It has felt hard for me. It has felt hard for a lot of my business friends. I had a coffee chat with one of my business friends and we just commiserated for 30 minutes about how hard everything is. And I see it with my clients too, where usually they're able to sign clients really quickly from a few emails, and now things are taking longer. So if you are listening to this and you're like, why am I not making any money? It is not just you. It is across the board. But that doesn't mean that you can't make money. And that doesn't mean that there aren't things that are in your control that you can do so that you can actually make money. So let's dive into what are those basics if you need to make some sales. So the first thing is when you need to make money yesterday, it is really hard to make money. I feel like this is one of the levels of privilege that people don't talk about. When you have money and you can take these risks, it's a lot easier to make money because you don't have that stress or that pressure of making money. And so one of the most important things in business is really making sure that you're able to meet your basic needs. Do you have money to pay bills? Do you have money to buy groceries, to support your family, to actually pay for the things that you need to pay for? Because when you are trying to create a new offer or redo your website or do all of these things and your basic needs are not being met, they become like 20 times harder. You get super emotional about it. It is stressful. It's really hard to make decisions in the long term because you're really focused on survival and right now. So instead of thinking about, hey, what do I want my business to look like in 6 months or a year, you're thinking about, how do I make money right now? How do I make money today? And what's tricky about that is like, the customer journey is so long right now and people need a lot of touch points, and even the sales process is really long right now. And so when you're coming into a sales call with this pressure of like, I really need to sign this client, like that's not the vibe that you want to bring to sales calls. The vibe you want to bring to sales call is like, hey, obviously no pressure. Here are the ways that I can help you and I'm super excited to support you. And it's your decision to make, right? You don't want to come on this sales call with the vibe of like, oh my God, I need to make money, so please sign on, right? It makes it a lot harder to detach yourself from a sale when you are in emergency mode. And so for me, what that looked like this year, how I removed myself from emergency mode when I needed money was pivoting into pet sitting. I knew there was a need. I already had clients in pet sitting. So I went really hard in pet sitting and building my client base locally. And then once I was able to pay the bills and have some more money, that took a lot of pressure off the copywriting business, and it actually helped me sign more clients because I wasn't so panicked about it. So that's the first piece, is like really make sure that you are meeting your basic needs. The second piece is remembering that marketing is actually a really long game. And it's not just sending one email and being like, great, I made all of the sales. I recently signed a client who watched one of my guest trainings in a different program that I recorded years ago, and then got on my email list, read all my emails. Then we got on a sales call. Then we emailed about questions that they had, and then they joined. So it's not as easy as just sending one sales email. You have to be planting the seeds all over the place and then watering those seeds and then fertilizing the soil, and then you can harvest your reap later, right? I've been playing a lot of video games. If it's just funny where that metaphor went. Okay, so the second piece is one, continuously doing your marketing and also making sure that you're not just like pivoting and burning down your business. Because if I had pivoted and burned down my business from this training that I did years ago and now I'm doing something completely different, then I would have lost that sale because there was no continuity in what I'm doing. And so remembering that, like, yes, even when things are and you're putting things out there, they will build your momentum over time. The other piece too, with marketing being a long game, there are people that are watching and paying attention and they might not be ready to invest yet, and that's okay, right? And so like, even if things are slow, it doesn't mean you have to burn your business down. It does mean that you are setting the stage for the future and you're building those relationships. The other thing that I really leaned into is thinking about my messaging and how I'm talking about things. And this was one of the things that I had a really hard time with until I removed the urgency around making money from my business. Because once I removed the urgency, I was able to be a little bit more creative and have more fun around what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it. And so I do have to thank one of my clients who is probably listening to this podcast episode. But she was talking about how she needed to go back to basics and go back to the framework that I teach. And I was like, oh, I need to go back to the framework and I need to go back to the basics that I teach because they work and they're there for a reason. And it was really funny because going back to my framework, I was able to hone in on my messaging and make it more specific. Literally within 2 emails of sitting down and doing that process, I was getting more clicks. I got people joining the Copy Classroom waitlist. And I was like, oh yeah, like this works. There's a reason why I teach it. There's a reason why I do it for my clients. And I have to remember to do it for myself too, is to have this like overarching story in your marketing and really knowing who your ideal client is and what they're struggling with and talking about those things. Sometimes marketing takes months, especially if you're doing it organically and you're growing your audience through collaborations and through social media. Like that's going to take longer if you don't have, thousands of dollars in ad budget. The last piece that I think people really forget about is sales. Marketing and sales are actually 2 different things. Marketing is really great and it mirrors the sales process. You can use your sales process to inform your marketing. You can use your marketing to help speed up sales, to scale sales, but sales is still its own process. And so that means that you are having conversations with people, you are networking. And so for me, it has really been committing to networking, doing more coffee chats, leaning into collaborations. These are the things that have worked for me in my business in the past. And so instead of being like, let me get on another social media or let me start a Substack, I am thinking, what are the things that really work? What are the foundations for my business? And how can I lean into them more? And so I tried LinkedIn again this year. I keep wanting to like LinkedIn and I just have a hard time with it. And I don't actually enjoy it. And when I don't enjoy something, it's really hard for me to do it consistently, unlike my email and this podcast. And now the blog, which I'm super excited about, is actually coming to fruition. But I'm leaning into these pieces that work for me, that I enjoy doing, that I know bring value to my clients, also that I know don't drain me as much. So because I'm really introverted, I really enjoy having those one-on-one conversations, having coffee chats with people. And so I've been leaning into that a lot. I've been thinking about like, who can I connect in my network? And just having conversations with people and connecting with them in that way and learning about what's going on with people. Because that's another really great thing is when you're having these conversations with people, you get more ideas for your marketing because you learn about what are people struggling with. And if one person is struggling with something and they're your ideal client, probably your other ideal clients are struggling with the same thing. So how can you talk about that more? How can you lean into that more? And so that's what I mean when I'm saying that the sales process and marketing process mirror each other because they inform one another. If you are feeling stuck right now, you are not alone. And while there's a lot of things that are out of your control, there are some things that are in your control. And so leaning into meeting your basic needs, even if that means getting a job or leaning into something else that is making you money, then do that so that you can be more strategic about your business, leaning into your messaging, your copywriting, and the marketing methods that actually work for you and your business, and really looking at where have you gotten clients from and how can you lean into that more. And then not forgetting the sales process and the actually talking to people process. Are you actually reaching out to people? Are you having conversations with people? All of that will help you start to build some more momentum even when things are slow. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Cozypreneur, and until next time.